हेलो फ्रेंड्स, कैसे हैं आप सब। वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल। और आप सबका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है मेरे इस नए ब्लॉग में, मेरे इस नए वीडियो में, जो कि चौथा दिन का ट्रेनिंग वीडियो मैं आपके लिए लेके आया हूँ। इस वीडियो में आपको और भी चीज़ जानकारी को मिलेगा कि आखिर लोग ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस जब लेते हैं तो किस चीज़ को फॉलो करते हैं, किस सिग्नल को फॉलो करना होता है, किस प्रोसीजर को फॉलो करना होता है। तो मेरे वीडियो में बने रहें लास्ट तक, आखिर तक, क्योंकि वीडियो के आखिर में मैंने कुछ क्वेश्चन वीडियोस मैंने ऐड किया है जो आपको जानना बहुत ज़रूरी है। और उस क्वेश्चन आंसर से रिलेटेड जो इस वीडियो में दिखाया जाता है वही चीज़ है। तो आप मेरे वीडियो में बने, सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन आपको दिया जाता है और इसमें आपको जानने के लिए कुछ मिलेगा, सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलेगा, सारा चीज़ मिलेगा इसके बारे में।
Welcome to the General Administration of Traffic and the Licenses Affairs Department. Holotech Group also welcomes you to the self-service program of the Unified Theoretical and Electronic Training. Traffic signs. While driving on the road, the driver notices the presence of a large number of different shapes and colors of road signs, which are installed on poles on the sides of the streets and intersections. Traffic signs are placed in order to inform drivers of an important information that facilitates his use of the road on which he is driving, and to avoid the occurrence of an accident that may endanger his life and the lives of others. Let's start learning driving in the right way to reach a combination of both safe and professional driving on our country's roads. Let the tour begin. Roundabouts. Definition of a roundabout. It is a crossroad, consists of one or more lanes. In its middle there is a central island in a circular shape. All vehicles must move anti-clockwise. Roundabout direction mandatory signs. The driver must adhere to the direction of motion on the intersection ahead, which is in the form of a roundabout, and he has to apply the roundabout rule to move anti-clockwise as the arrows indicate on the mandatory sign. The driver must adhere to the direction on the sign that indicates to the right, hence he has to reduce speed of his vehicle and take the lane suitable to the direction that he wants to move in. Roundabout warning signs. The driver must be aware and warned that there is a roundabout ahead. Hence, he has to reduce his speed and give way to the vehicles entering to the roundabout. Roundabout directional informatory signs. These signs are placed to indicate the remaining distance to roundabout entrance. Roundabout warning road marking. It is used to warn the driver of the existence of a roundabout and requires to reduce speed. It exists before roundabout entrance in white color. Rules followed in dealing with two-lane roundabout. A. Turn right, first exit. When turn right, do the following. Approach roundabout in the right lane and remain in this lane. Give right turn signal when approaching. Verify traffic motion at the left side. Give way to vehicles coming from the left if there are vehicles coming. Remain the signal until exiting from the roundabout. Give way to pedestrians when turning right. Exit from roundabout to the right lane of the road. B. Moving forward in a straight line, second exit. If you want to move forward in a straight line, do the following. Approach the roundabout in the lane that leads you to the lane you want after crossing roundabout. You have to take the decision early. When entering the roundabout, verify traffic motion at the left side and give way to the coming vehicles and keep moving if the road is clear. Give right turn signal after passing the first exit to make drivers know that you are exiting from the roundabout to the second exit. C. Turn left. Third or fourth exit. If you want to turn left, do the following. Approach roundabout always in the left lane or as indicated by arrows on the road. Remain in the same lane while moving around the roundabout. When exiting, give right turn signal after passing the second or the third exit according to your direction to make drivers know that you will exit from the roundabout at the next exit. Verify that there are no vehicles at your right when you start to exit. Rules followed in dealing with 3-lane roundabouts. A. Turn right first exit. It is the same as 2-lane roundabout. Do the following. Approach in the right lane and remain in this lane. Give right turn signal when approaching. Verify traffic motion at the left side. Give way to the coming vehicles. Remain the signal until exiting from the roundabout. Exit from roundabout to the right lane of the road. B. Moving forward in a straight line, second exit. It is the same as 2-lane roundabout, and selection of the lane depends on what you will do after passing the roundabout. This will be decided according to your selection of the right lane or the middle lane. If you are required to do something at the right after exiting from the roundabout, select the right lane. You can select right lane or the middle lane. Verify traffic motion at your left when entering the roundabout. Give way if there are vehicles coming and keep going if the road is clear. Keep in the lane while moving around the roundabout and when exiting from it. Give right signal after passing the first exit to make drivers know that you will exit from the next exit. Verify vehicles at your right while you are about to exit from the roundabout. C. Turn left, third or fourth exit. It is the same as the 2-lane roundabout, but planning here is more important, so do the following. Make sure to verify the direction signs and road surface markings accurately, where it will guide you to the correct lane. Keep in the same lane when moving in the roundabout and turn in the lane when leaving the roundabout. Give your right signal after passing the second exit to make others know that you will leave at the next exit. This is important specifically in 3-lane roundabout, where you can cross 2 lanes to exit from the roundabout. Verify vehicles at your right while you are about to exit from the roundabout. Roundabout enter and exit signals. The use of the signal when entering to the roundabout is not so important, but using the signal when you want to exit from the roundabout is very important, in order to make vehicle drivers inside roundabout know your intention to exit to give you the way to exit safely from the roundabout. Therefore, select the suitable lane before arriving the roundabout and keep in this lane. You will notice the continuous lines that indicate to the prohibition of change the lane before entering the roundabout. Also, you have to give way to traffic motion inside the roundabout. When you want to leave it, use right indicator to alert and make drivers know that you will leave the roundabout. Exit cases from roundabout and places of using right indicator if you want to leave the roundabout can be summarized as follows. When using the first exit of roundabout, use the right lane in 2-lane or 3-lane roundabout to enter when you want to exit from the roundabout from the first exit. And when exiting from the roundabout, use always the right signal to alert other road users. And that's when you want to exit from the first exit. When using the second exit, choose the right lane when you enter a roundabout with 2-lane or the middle lane on a roundabout with 3 lanes. You don't need to use turn signals when you enter. But when you are about to exit, use the right turn signal after you cross the first exit, and check the surrounding vehicles to see the blind spots. When using the third exit, choose the left lane to enter a roundabout with 2 or 3 lanes. And when you leave, use the right turn signal when you pass the second exit. Check other vehicles to see the blind spots. When using the fourth exit, when you go for U-turn, choose the left lane of a roundabout with 2 or 3 lanes. Blind spots. Fifth section, roundabout with a traffic light. Sometimes roundabouts are controlled by traffic lights operated as follows. 1. Operation of a traffic light with its 3 colors. When a traffic light is operated on the roundabout, it will indicate the following. A. Red color. Stop completely and wait. B. Green color. You can enter the roundabout or keep going. C. Yellow color. You must be warned and give way to vehicles inside the roundabout. 2. When traffic light stops and the yellow light is flashing on the entire intersection. In this case, follow give-way rules so that priority is given to vehicles inside the roundabout. Roads and lanes. Definitions. Road. It is the path opened for motion of land transport means, traction means, pedestrians and animals, whether the path is of the public roads, bridges, squares, routes, wharf, yards, or other places available for people to use, with or without permission, even if they are fenced. Road lane. It is any part of the longitudinal parts to which the carriageway is divided, and its width allows pass of one row of successive vehicles, whether bordered or not by longitudinal marks on the surface of the road. Carriageway. It is the section of the road used usually for motion of vehicles. It consists of one or more lanes in the traffic direction, and the carriageway is separated by central islands, metal barriers, cement barriers, or by using signs or road surface markings. Traffic direction. It is the direction of motion in the right side of the road, and it consists of one or more lanes either in one or two directions. Shoulder of the road. It is a part of the road in line with it from the two sides and is prepared for emergency stopping of vehicles. Second section. Types of roads. 1. Roads with one lane or more in one direction. The motion is in one direction in all lanes and is determined by direction marks, road arrows. Turning and returning back is prohibited. 2. Roads with one lane and two directions. They are either separated by central island or longitudinal continuous lines, where overtaking is absolutely prohibited, or separated by dashed longitudinal lines and overtaking is allowed at specific areas. 3. Roads with two lanes or more in two directions. Directions are separated by a central island or determined by continuous longitudinal lines. The vehicle driver is prohibited to cross or move on the lines, and in this case, it is prohibited to move from a direction to another, while lane lines are determined by dashed longitudinal lines allowing to move from one lane to another. Third section. Main lanes. 1. Right lane and its uses. When driving with slow or low speed. If the driver wants to move to another road at his right. In case of meeting another vehicle coming from the opposite direction. If he wants to stop and exit to stopping lane or out of the carriageway. When a driver of a vehicle coming from behind wants to overtake. in case of his approach from turns or from high tops when visibility in the road is insufficient, when driving heavy vehicles. Two, middle lane and its uses. When driving with a speed less than the speed limit allowed on the road, medium speed. In case of motion forward in a straight line. 3. Left lane and its uses. When driving with the speed limit allowed on the road. In case of overtaking. In case of turning left. Fourth section, sub-lanes. 1. Accelerating lane. It is a side lane in which vehicles coming from a sub-road shall accelerate before merging and entering in the main road, so that their speed become equal to the speed of vehicles existing on the main road. 2. Decelerating lane. It is a side lane used by the vehicles that want to leave the main road and enter in a sub-road to reduce their speed to become appropriate to enter the sub-road. 3. Storage lane. It is an additional lane in the road allocated for vehicles that want to turn and return back to the opposite direction because they stopped and wait for the safe suitable time to turn and return without becoming an obstacle to the traffic or causing a traffic accident. 4. Ascending lane. It is an additional lane in the road allocated for trucks that move slowly during ascending to give way to the vehicles in behind to overtake. 5. Bicycles lane. It is an additional lane in the road allocated for bicycles or bicycles and pedestrians and other vehicles are prohibited to move on it. 6. Public transport lane. It is a lane on the road allocated for public transport and other vehicles are prohibited to move on it. 7. Stopping or emergency lane. It is allocated for stopping of vehicles if they are faulty and can be used by emergency vehicles in case of accidents. 5th section, lane changing. 1. Main aim of moving from a lane to another. A. Turn right to the left. B. Overtaking. C. Exiting and changing. Any vehicle driver wants to exit from the lane of the vehicle he follows, change his vehicle to the right or the left of the lane, or enter in another lane, turn left or right, head to a side road, or enter a place adjacent to the road, or exit from it, turn and return back, he has to do the following. A. Inspect the blind spots by turning his head. B. Look at the mirrors and make sure of the possibility to do so without subjecting himself or others to risk. C. To take into consideration the positions of other road users, their direction, and their speed. D. To declare his intention clearly at a sufficient distance by using direction signals in his vehicle and hand signals when necessary, and this warning from the signals remain throughout the duration of motion and remove it after its completion. E. To approach as possible the right edge of the carriageway if he will move to another road at his right, and approach as possible to the axis of carriageway if he will move to another road at his left gradually with caution during lane changing. F. Not using more than one lane at the same time except in the above-mentioned cases of transfer. 6th section. Cases of obligation to move near to the right edge of the carriageway. 1. Moving to another road at his right. 2. Meeting another vehicle coming from the opposite direction. 3. The vehicle is overtaken by a driver of a vehicle coming from behind. 4. Insufficient visibility on the road. Drivers of passenger vehicles of different types like bus, transportation cars like trucks, motor vehicles and equipment, tractors and any motor vehicle trailing a trailer or semi-trailer have to move at the right side of the road and not to overtake other vehicles. 7th section, lane using. If the carriageway is divided into 2 lanes, bordered by continuous long lines, vehicle driver is prohibited to cross or move on it. If the carriageway has 2 directions divided into 3 lanes, Vehicle driver is allowed to use the middle lane after making sure that this will not constitute a risk to others or traffic motion. In all cases, it is not allowed to use the traffic lane at the edge of the opposite direction of the lane that he occupies, and it is not allowed to change his lane except after making sure that this does not constitute a risk to others or traffic motion. Eighth section. General guidelines and ethics on dealing with lanes. If two vehicles met from two opposite directions on a road of width insufficient to accommodate their pass together, the two drivers have to reduce their speed and move with their vehicles to the right edge of the carriageway as possible, or exceed the edge of the carriageway if necessary to ensure avoiding any collision. It is not allowed for any vehicle to occupy more than half of the carriageway in case of meeting another vehicle. If two vehicles met in a carriageway of a width insufficient to pass both together because of the existence of an obstacle on the road lane allocated for one of them, the driver of the lane that moves on the lane that contains the obstacle has to give way to the opposing vehicle even if the driver of the first vehicle is obliged to stop. Timing is everything, and when you're on a highway, every second counts. We usually think of stopping in terms of space, but what really matters is time. It takes about 1 second to notice potential risks in front of you, and another second to react, hit the brakes, and slow down. So you wanna keep yourself at least 2 seconds between the car in front of you and your vehicle. To measure, wait for the car ahead of you to pass a set object. Tree, road sign, light pole, any clear mark will do. After passes, start counting 1001 and 1002. If you reach that same object before you reach 2, you're too close. Of course, this 2-second baseline is right for a car in normal driving conditions. Driving in bad weather, add 1 more second. Driving an SUV, another second. If you're driving a commercial vehicle, it's gotta be at least 5 seconds. So don't forget the 2-second rule. And don't forget to share these safety tips with your friends and family. There are hundreds of thousands of track accidents every year. Driving a vehicle this size, that's a tough job. Imagine trying to stop 80,000 pounds going 80 kilometers an hour. That tempting space trucks leave in front of them, well, that's there because they need it. When you cut in front of the truck, you're taking that buffer room away, which leaves them no space to stop, which is really a bad idea. Driving too close behind a truck isn't safe either. A tractor-trailer blocks a huge part of your view, making it hard to see what's up ahead. If they have to stop, your only warning is their brake lights, and sometimes that's just not enough. So always allow room for the trucks and give yourself a few extra seconds of space in front or behind them. Remember the track zone when you're on the road, and don't forget to share these safety tips with your friends and family. Parking rules and obligations. Definitions. Waiting parking. It is parking of the vehicle in a place for a finite or an infinite time period. Stopping. Stopping of the vehicle for a time period necessary for moving, taking or dropping persons, loading or unloading goods. Pedestrians crossing place. It is a place allocated for pedestrians crossings marked for this purpose on the road, provided that the driver stops before it to give way to pedestrians to cross safely. Handicap parking. It is a place allocated for the handicaps, which is equipped with signs and road surface markings indicating it. Road shoulder. It is a part of the road in line with it from the two sides prepared for emergency stopping of vehicles. Second section. Parking signs and marks. Traffic signals, signs.
जानने के
No
लिए आपको
parking or
इसमें बहुत
stopping
सारा चीज़
sign.
है, एग्जामिनेशन क्वेश्चन पेपर
No
भी साथ में
parking
मैं
or
ऐड
stopping
किया हूँ,
sign is a
तो
circular sign with a
वीडियो
red
को आखिर
frame
तक
and
देखें।
blue
अगर आखिर
background
आप मिस कर
with a
जाएंगे,
red
स्किप कर
diagonal,
देंगे, तो
while
जो
no
मैं इसमें
stopping sign
आंसर
includes
क्वेश्चन
two
क्वेश्चन
crossed
आंसर जो
red
दिखाया हूँ
diagonals.
वो आप मिस कर जाएंगे, जो आपको नहीं जानने मिल
End of
पाएगा
speed
कि
limit sign.
इस वीडियो
It
के
is a
रिलेटेड जो
circular
क्वेश्चन
sign
है
with white
और आंसर है,
background,
क्या
and the
है
speed
क्या
is
नहीं है।
determined
तो
inside in
मेरे
black
वीडियो को
color
आखिर
to
तक देखें,
indicate the
पूरा
end of the
देखें।
speed limit.
अगर आपको
It is
इन्फॉर्मेटिव चीज़ अगर
characterized by
इसमें मिलता है,
inclined
आपको
black
इन्फॉर्मेशन ज़्यादा से
lines.
ज़्यादा इसमें मिलता है, तो प्लीज़ कमेंट करके बताएं।
Parking directional sign. It is a rectangular sign with blue background, written inside letter P in white color to guide road users to the parking place. Handicap parking sign. It is a rectangular sign with blue background, contains a white square drawn inside handicap logo in black color to guide road users to parking place of the handicaps. Bus parking sign. It is a rectangular sign with blue background, contains a white square, drawn inside it a picture of a bus or a train in black color to guide road users to the parking place of buses and trains. Parking and stopping rules and obligations. It is prohibited to disrupt the use of the paid parking with meters or cause a congestion there. Vehicle driver is prohibited to leave his vehicle on the road except after taking the necessary actions that avoid the occurrence of any accident caused by this and make sure that its left will not obstruct traffic. It is prohibited to leave the vehicle with the ignition key inside. Any person possesses a vehicle shall not stop it and leave it on the road under any condition that may hinder traffic or subject road users to risks. And if he failed to transfer the vehicle within a reasonable period, the licensing authority may transfer it, and the vehicle owner commits to pay costs on the transfer. Vehicles should not be left on the road in a condition that may subject others and their money to risk, obstruct or hinder traffic motion. It is not allowed, without any written permit, to place any obstacles or objects that may hinder traffic, pedestrians or occupy the road. Fourth section. Rules of parallel parking between two vehicles. It is a type of parallel parking which is stopping the vehicle between two vehicles queuing in line beside the sidewalk. Parking or queuing conditions. It is prohibited to disrupt the use of the paid parking with meters or cause congestion there. Vehicle driver is prohibited to leave his vehicle on the road except after taking the necessary actions that avoid the occurrence of any accident caused by this and make sure that leaving it will not obstruct traffic. It is prohibited to leave the vehicle with the ignition key inside. Any person possesses a vehicle shall not stop it and leave it on the road under any condition that may hinder traffic or subject road users to risks. And if he failed to transfer the vehicle within a reasonable period, the licensing authority may transfer it, and the vehicle owner commits to pay costs of the transfer. Vehicles should not be left on the road in a condition that may subject others and their money to risk, obstruct or hinder traffic motion. It is not allowed, without any written permit, to place any obstacles or objects that may hinder traffic, pedestrians or occupy the road. Rules and procedures of parking between two vehicles, queuing. A. Parking in line with the vehicle in front of parking place at a side distance of half a meter approximately. B. Put front wheels of your vehicle to the extreme right, then continue reversing. C. When noise of your vehicle exceeds the vehicle parking in front of you, put your vehicle's front wheels to the extreme left and continue reversing. D. When you feel that your vehicle becomes in parallel to the edge of the road, put your vehicle front wheels straight, taking into consideration to park your vehicle in the middle. When parking on a hill or a steep road, it is important that you prevent your vehicle from rolling into traffic if the parking brake were to fail. Simply turning your front wheels to the correct position and setting the parking brake can prevent a vehicle from accidentally rolling into traffic. 1. To park uphill or an incline, identify and slowly pull into the parking space. Once you are positioned in the space, rotate the front wheels all the way to the left. With the fronts of the tires pointing away from the curb, place the vehicle in park and set the parking brake. In this position, if the parking brake were to fail, the vehicle would roll back until the front wheels are stopped by the curb. 2. Parking on a decline or facing towards the bottom of a hill is a little different. After pulling into a parking space, rotate the front wheels all the way to the right, with the front of the tires pointing towards the curb. Once the vehicle and the wheels are in the correct position, place the vehicle in park and set the parking brake. In this position, if the parking brake were to fail, the vehicle would roll forward until the front tires are stopped by the curb. If there are no curbs, there is only one safe solution for parking on an inclined or declined roadway without curbs. Position your vehicle in the parking space and turn the front wheels to the right. Place the vehicle and park and then set the parking brake. By parking with the wheels turned to the right, if the parking brake fails, the vehicle would roll off the roadway and away from traffic. When parking on an incline or decline, prepare for the worst by always turning your tires to the proper direction and set the parking brake. This will keep your vehicle on place and other drivers, pedestrians, and parked cars safe. 6th section. Places of no parking or stopping. 1. Pedestrians crossing places and on sidewalks. 2. Bridges, high passages and tunnels, unless if there are places allocated for parking or stopping. 3. Carriageway near from heights and turns. 4. At a distance less than 15 meters from crossroads, square entrances, roundabouts, pedestrians crossings, and public transport stations. 5. Carriageway beside continuous long road marking that prohibits its crossing. 6. Places where parking and stopping lead to blocked traffic lights, road surface markings, or vehicles from other road users. 7. In front of house entrances and exits, vehicle garages, petrol stations, hospitals, ambulance centers, fire bridges, police station, military areas, education institutions without permission. 9. Places where parking obstructs another parked vehicle. 10. Carriageway beside another parking vehicle. 11. Places of no parking and stopping. 12. Handicap parking and other places. 7th section. Emergency stopping. A. It is prohibited to stop any vehicle at a distance that exceeds a half a meter from the edge of the sidewalk or the road shoulder. B. The driver is prohibited to use stones or similar to secure wheels of his vehicle when stopping on the road only when necessary, and he has to remove it from the road before leaving the location and use handbrakes of the vehicle. Jacks, reflectors, and warning light devices exist in the vehicle for this purpose. C. Vehicles are prohibited to stop at turns, and if necessary, the distance from the turn must not be less than 20 meters. You have to alert road users that your vehicle is faulty by placing the reflector triangle, so your vehicle will be visible at a distance not less than 100 meters on the roads outside cities and at a distance of 50 meters on the roads inside cities to warn other drivers. Overtaking. First section. Overtaking. It is the exceeding of a vehicle or an obstacle on the road, whether movable or fixed, while driving the vehicle at certain places and according to definite conditions. Second section. Types of overtaking. 1. Overtaking fixed obstacles, stopping vehicles, excavations or works, or any obstacle in the lane of the vehicle. 2. Overtaking movable obstacle. Vehicles changing their direction, vehicles move with a low speed. Third section. Conditions of safe overtaking. 1. Determine suitable time and place before the overtaking. 2. Make sure that the driver and the vehicle are able to overtake. 3. Commit with traffic marks and signs.
सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन आपको दिया जाता है और इसमें आपको जानने के लिए कुछ मिलेगा सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन।
Fourth section. Overtaking signs and marks.
लाइन्स के बारे
1.
में और डायरेक्शन के बारे
Overtaking
में
signs.
जो आपको जानना
No
बहुत ज़रूरी
overtaking
है।
sign.
तो आप इस वीडियो को
It
पूरा
is a
देखें।
circular
जानने
sign
के
with
लिए
white
आपको इसमें बहुत
background
सारी
and red
चीज़ है।
frame.
एग्जामिनेशन
Contains a
क्वेश्चन
picture
पेपर
of
के
2
साथ में
cars,
मैं ऐड
one
किया
in
हूँ।
black and the
तो
other in red color.
वीडियो को आखिर तक देखें।
Indicates
अगर आखिर
start
आप
of
मिस
no
कर जाएंगे, स्किप
overtaking
कर देंगे
area
तो
for all
जो मैं
vehicles.
इसमें आंसर क्वेश्चन आंसर जो दिखाया हूँ वो आप मिस कर जाएंगे, जो आपको नहीं जानने
Track
मिल
no
पाएगा
overtaking
कि
sign.
इस वीडियो के रिलेटेड जो
It is a
क्वेश्चन है
circular
और
sign
आंसर
with
है
white
क्या है
background
क्या
and
नहीं
red
है।
frame.
तो
Contains a
मेरे
picture
वीडियो
of
को
a
आखिर
car
तक
in
देखें,
black color
पूरा देखें।
and a truck
अगर
in
आपको
red color,
इन्फॉर्मेटिव चीज़ अगर इसमें मिलता
indicating
है, आपको
starting of no
इन्फॉर्मेशन ज़्यादा से
overtaking
ज़्यादा इसमें मिलता
area
है
for
तो कमेंट
trucks.
करके बताएं।
Heavy vehicles. End of no overtaking sign. It is a circular sign with white background and black frame. Contains a picture of 2 cars in black color and inclined diagonals. Indicates end of no overtaking area for vehicles. End of no overtaking sign for trucks. It is a circular sign with white background and black frame. Contains a picture of a car and a truck in black color and inclined diagonals. Indicates end of no overtaking area for trucks. Warning signs. Driver has not to overtake when he sees any of the warning signs because the existence of these signs warn of the existence of a risk on the road, and in this case, overtaking subjects you and other road users to risk. 2. Overtaking marks. No overtaking mark. The driver is prohibited to overtake when he sees this line because there may be a curve or a height ahead and insufficient visibility. Prohibition is for all vehicles without exception. No overtaking confirmation mark. The driver is prohibited to overtake when he sees these 2 lines because there may be a curve or a height ahead and insufficient visibility. Prohibition is for all vehicles without exception. No overtaking mark for the vehicle that the continuous line is at its left. The driver of the vehicle that the continuous line is at its left is prohibited to overtake when he sees this continuous line because there may be a curve or a height ahead and insufficient visibility. Prohibition is for all vehicles without exception. 5th section. Overtaking steps. The driver must overtake with his vehicle from the left side of the vehicle preceding his vehicle, and he has to commit with the following. Follow traffic signs, marks placed or engraved on the road. Make sure that the road is clear in front of him for a sufficient distance to complete overtaking process. Look at the inside mirror and then at the side one and take a look over the shoulder to make sure that the situation is safe and there are no vehicles in the blind spots and the overtaking is allowed. Alert road users that you want to overtake by a light or sound signal. While overtaking, keep away from the overtaking obstacles by a sufficient safe side distance. Look at the mirror to make sure of the completion of the overtaking process and give the necessary right signal, to inform other road users of the completion of overtaking. When overtaking a big vehicle, you have to take a look on the 2 sides of this vehicle before starting overtaking, taking into consideration not to return to the lane of the big vehicle except after seeing it in the mirror. Determine the speed and do the following procedures. A. Determine the suitable shift position and the speed to be able to complete overtaking process in the shortest possible time. B. Reduce the speed when overtaking buses and stopped passenger cars to drop passengers. C. Overtaking is always done from the left of the other vehicles or obstacles, unless the driver of the vehicle required to be overtaken gives a turn signal to the left. 6th section. No overtaking places. Invisible heights and acute curves. Slippery roads, circular squares, near pedestrians crossings, schools, hospitals, gardens, and emergency vehicle lanes, road turns, bridges, and tunnels, all places in which overtaking is prohibited by using traffic signs or marks. 7th section. No overtaking cases. No overtaking of passenger buses allocated for transport of students when stopped in residential areas. When vision is hard on the road because of natural or emergency circumstances, fog or dust. Police cars, internal security forces, ambulance, civil defense and rescue in emergency cases and when using alert and warning devices. Group of stopped cars because of disruption of traffic motion or stop of vehicles or traffic motion that does not allow the completion of overtaking process safely. If the front vehicle required to be overtaken is moving with a speed that makes the completion of overtaking hard. If the front vehicle is overtaking another vehicle. If there is another vehicle that moves at the rear and started to overtake. When the driver of the preceding vehicle gives a signal of no overtaking. Eighth section. When overtaking, the following must be taken into consideration. It is prohibited to increase the speed of the vehicle when another vehicle is overtaking it, and the driver has to enable others to achieve this overtaking. Follow guidelines indicated on any mark placed or engraved on the road surface by the licensing authority. Give way to emergency vehicles, police, internal security forces, civil defense and ambulance, while performing emergency service, with a reduction of speed or stop moving if necessary. Clear the road immediately if there are emergency motor vehicles, police, internal security forces, civil defense and ambulance, at intersections, junctions or crossroads to give way to these vehicles without any obstacle. Ninth section. Rules and ethics of overtaking. It is prohibited to increase the speed of the vehicle when another vehicle is overtaking it, and the driver has to enable others to make this overtaking safely. When meeting another vehicle, the driver required to be overtaken has to facilitate the overtaking process, including to take extreme right of carriageway and reduce the speed of the vehicle if the situation requires. The driver of a vehicle that transports a load and cannot be overtaken because of road situations and traffic motion has to reduce the speed of his vehicle and exit as necessary. Tenth section. Side winds and their effect on overtaking. Side winds are divided into two types. 1. Vacuum winds resulting from speed of vehicles. The effect of these two types of wind seen obvious and even more during overtaking of large vehicles. In such circumstances, the small vehicles are subjected to pull off toward the large vehicles when the small vehicles perform overtaking process. To overcome this problem, hold the steering wheel firmly with both hands with appropriate guidance of steering wheel.
तो आप इस वीडियो को पूरा देखें। जानने के लिए आपको इसमें बहुत सारा चीज़ है, एग्जामिनेशन क्वेश्चन पेपर भी साथ में मैं ऐड किया हूँ, तो वीडियो को आखिर तक देखें। अगर आखिर आप मिस कर जाएंगे, स्किप कर देंगे, तो जो मैं इसमें आंसर क्वेश्चन आंसर जो दिखाया हूँ वो आप मिस कर जाएंगे, जो आपको नहीं जानने मिल पाएगा कि इस वीडियो के रिलेटेड जो क्वेश्चन है और आंसर है क्या है क्या नहीं है। तो मेरे वीडियो को आखिर तक देखें, पूरा देखें। अगर आपको इन्फॉर्मेटिव चीज़ अगर इसमें मिलता है, आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इसमें मिलता है, तो प्लीज़ कमेंट करके बताएं।
Maximum speed limit for heavy vehicles on external roads is 80 km per hour. Safe U-turning conditions are driving the vehicle and usually true. Speed limit rules are safe turning conditions are safe turning conditions are safe U-turning conditions are Maximum speed limit for private cars, taxis, rental cars, and tourist cars on external roads is 120 km. The vehicle shall be impounded. True. The cases of using speed limit rules are using the phone. True. True. To stop the bleeding, you must press on the bleeding injury. True. Drivers of vehicles that make disturbing noises. True. The signal of the vehicle in front of me indicates maximum speed limit for heavy vehicles on internal road 50.
तो मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें, अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर करें। मेरे चैनल में जो वीडियो देते हैं, वीडियो जो मैं आपको लिए लेके आता हूँ, उसको लाइक करें, कमेंट करें और मेरे चैनल के साथ बने रहें। मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करके बेल आइकन को ऑन करेंगे तो आपको सबसे पहले मेरा वीडियो का नोटिफिकेशन मिलेगा। जो इन्फॉर्मेशन देता हूँ वो आप तक सबसे पहले पहुँचेगा। 5वीं वीडियो मैं आपके लिए लेके आऊँगा अपने नेक्स्ट ब्लॉग में, अपने नेक्स्ट वीडियो में, तो मेरे चैनल के साथ लेके आऊँगा। तो मेरे चैनल के साथ बने रहें। फिर मिलते हैं एक नई वीडियो में एक नई इन्फॉर्मेशन के साथ।